One.
Hello, dear ones. I'm talking to you today about moving and what we take with us. And I have a confession to make that when we were moving from California to Minnesota, and there were so many things that I knew I would miss, one of the things I knew I was going to miss terribly was camping in the Sierras and hiking in the Sierras. I loved the hard, beautiful, cool granite that you could lean against when you would take a pause or a break from hiking or camp near rocks and see them in streams. And I loved granite. And I started collecting rocks as a young child. My mother had wanted to be a geologist and had been told as a young science major that women couldn't pursue geology. It wasn't a profession suited for women. And not that she believed that, but she did not pursue geology, but it was a love of and a passion of hers her entire life. And so I grew up with a mother who was always identifying rocks and noticing rocks. And so I was bound and determined that I was going to bring some granite with me. And I must confess that I packed boxes full of rocks when we moved to Minnesota. I packed them and I tried to be careful how many rocks I put in each box. But I remember a mover carrying the box into our new home here in St. Paul, and he said, "If I didn't know better, ma'am, I would swear you have rocks in these boxes." And I was like, well, boy, yeah, I'm so sorry they're so heavy, because he was right. That's exactly what was in those boxes. And I opened them and saw these beloved rocks that I remembered collecting. I remembered the hikes, I remembered the streams, and I actually have a pretty big rock in my office that I carried out from Salmon Creek a quarter of a mile because I was so in love with this huge rock. And I'm actually going to leave that rock at Unity Church. And I'm going to leave almost all of my rocks scattered around neighborhoods, backyards, and places around Unity. And I do so because I don't need them anymore, because it was part of my link to a cherished memory and past. And I want to then tell you a story of Scripture, which is when the Israelites were crossing the Jordan River. Moses was not able to cross with them. And so it was Joshua who was designated as the new leader and was leading his people across the Jordan River. And as they began that journey, he asked each tribe to pick up a stone of memory, so that they would always remember where they came from, what they had experienced, and who they were, so that they were linked to that past through these stones of memory. And that's how I have felt about these stones of granite, that they are my stones of memory. They remind me that I am a daughter of an aspiring geologist. I am a daughter of a hiker, of a naturalist. I am a person who loves and is nourished by the natural world. So I have rocks from all over the world that are all over my altar, and I know that Lisa did one of her minister's messages around the 5 smooth stones of liberal religion as proposed by the theologian James Luther Adams. But I wanted to add to that dimension of the importance of stones by talking about the stones of memory. So I wonder, in your life, do you have things that help you anchor to your ancestry, to your past, to the things that brought so much pleasure and joy in your life, like these stones of memory do in my life. Because as we continue to live through this pandemic and these challenging times, it's so important that we turn back to those practices that remind us who we are, where we've been, and that we can take those things and those characteristics and attributes with us as we move into the future. Thank you for joining me today.